Hey guys, so we're going to start playing some SVGs in our Hocking College Hawks Bookstore webpage that we have right now. I'm also wanting to eventually do CSS Grid into it, but I know I promised this a couple of weeks ago and I got behind and it just didn't work out. So I just want to go ahead and get this started so you guys can start playing with it. So this is what we're going to kind of end up having, and I just have two examples. You guys can do your own examples. I'll show you the differences between the two examples that you see right here. So this is an SVG icon, and this is a PNG, and I'm going to show you kind of the pros and the cons and what the differences are. So let me get on the right thing here. Go ahead and close that out, close that out, close that out, and I want to be on this one. So go ahead and open up with live server. Okay, so it's blank. This is the one that I've been working on, and this is the blank one. So I was working on grid. Let me go ahead and switch this to SVG as a reminder on some things, but SVG. And let's see. SVG, if you remember, I didn't go into a whole lot of details of all the different ways you can do it because it's just like insane. Unless you like math, and then it's probably your jam, but it's not mine. So a polygon is kind of what we're going to create with the triangle kind of thing, right? Polygon's 3 sides, I think, and I don't even know. That's not my area of expertise by any means. But it uses a lot of numbers. And again, not my thing. So what I do, if this is your thing and you love it and you like doing all this numbers, more power to you. That's not my thing. So what I do, remember, I think we played with the noun project. I made a video talking about the noun project. And this is the resource, one of the resources that I use. There's other resources that do similar things. If you like something else, that's fine. So what I'm going to look for is an arrow down. So what we can do is we can select what kind of arrow we want. Remember, we want it to be pretty intuitive for the user on the web page. It's like, hey, this is going to take us somewhere. This is going to open a drop down. This is going to do something. Just something to like make sure that the user knows something is going to happen. So I think one of the ones that we were playing with, and you can see, like I said, there's all kinds of different styles and designs. It's kind of interesting, but just because something's interesting doesn't mean it's always clear what it's doing. So just be aware on that. Sometimes I'm guilty. I was like, that looks interesting, but it's not always clear what it's doing. So let's go ahead. I want to stick with this one. I like this one, but I want the sharper edges. Let's go ahead and do this one. So we can get this icon for free, and we can do the basic download, and we hit continue. And we're going to start with the SVG. So we're going to go ahead and download the SVG, and we're going to open it in the folder, and I am going to cut it, find the folder that I'm working in, and I already created a folder. It's called HC Bookstore. It's got images in it already. So I already created an image folder. Right click on it and paste, or Control X and Control V. I'm going to rename it. Noun, arrow, down, tutorial. You can name it whatever you want. You just name it arrow down. Okay, so leave this web page open. We're not done with it yet, but we're going to go ahead and go into here. So now I have this image file in here. So let's go ahead and click on the image file. Okay, so I got it open. Go ahead and wrap my text so you can see. So you'll notice this file, even though it says it's an image file, there's actually no images in it. like what we'll be playing with next is PNGs, and this actually, oh, it's black, so I don't know, that's, oh, it's still thinking. Okay, there he is. I could barely see it because of the glare, but hopefully you can. You can see that it's actually an image file, whereas opposed to this one, okay, it's actually, go ahead, close this. It's actually no images file, no images. It's all this path. Like if you remember when we went over SVGs, it's just a bunch of paths. And this is just like hogwash or stuff for me. It's not my thing. But I'm glad somebody out there is smart enough to know how to do this. So what we can do is this. Let's go back into the Bookstore start file that we've been working on. I'm going to go ahead and do the word wrap and close this a little bit. Where I'm parked right now, I have a bit of a glare, so okay, so we're going to go to clothing. So we're going to keep everything list right now. I'm not going to make any changes to that. That's going to be at a later time. But so what I want is we're going to put this arrow right next to clothing. So just like any other image, image source equals, you do the open double quotes, images, because that's the name of the folder that all my images are in. And then I'm looking for the image that I'm wanting, which is this now arrow down tutorial SVG. And closing the quotes, and then closing the tag, and I hit save. And which one is it? That's the finished one. So this is the start. Okay, and I got a big old black arrow. All right, so I need to make some changes to it. So I can make actually those changes here. I can do the width equals 30, height equals 30. Okay, and then there is my change. It's smaller. I can play with that if I want it a little bit bigger. I could customize it. You know, if I want it, they don't have to be the exact same numbers. It can be, 40 by 50. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger. Don't know if I like it like that. I'm just going to go to put it back to 30 and 30. So you can make it whatever you like. But I also want to change the color to this. And if you remember when we looked on the noun project, we can customize it, but we got to pay for it, right? And I'm glad Braha Amar Justico created this for me, but I don't want to pay for it. And I'm assuming you don't either. So what we can do instead is this. To change the color, sometimes you might see some of these SVG files are going to have different areas where you'll see the color to change. Some will and some won't. Not all of them are going to be the same. This one didn't have anything already filled in, so to speak, for color that I could find. So what I was doing, I kind of like do the breakdown of the file. So it's declared an SVG file with the opening SVG, wherever it came from, view box, the title, whatever the title is. And then it gets all to this funky stuff of the path and all that numbers. The name. So those are not things that I can change, that I want to change to affect the color. What I can do, since I don't already see anything, what I'm going to do is think right before view box. And this is trial and error. This is not an exact science. I want to do a style. Attribute. And what I'm doing is fill color. I'm sorry. Fill orange. I did that right. We'll see if I did that right. So save it. Okay, and it's orange. So I did it right. So I would probably want it to be, that color orange, but or yellow for Hawking College, but you can customize it for whatever you want. I'm not going to look up the hex code right now, but you can see it being changed based off whatever color I put on there. You can use hex code. I saw this earlier and I thought it was funny, but bad. BBAADD. See if I got that right. Like a purplish color. Yeah. So now I know two hex numbers. Badass and bad. Yeah. Anyways. So you can make it whatever you want. So so this is one example of how you can customize an SVG file. I want to show you another example because this one didn't present some of the problems that I had with the other example I was playing with. So let me see if I can find that one. Solid. I think it was this one. So let's go ahead and so we got clothing. So let's go to gifts. Image source equals images. Now, if you have problems where like the folder for images isn't coming up, it's probably because this is reading an error because it's so close together. A couple of ways you can fix that. One is just to get rid of that and then just replace it. Images, just kind of, there we go. Images, and the one I'm wanting is this one, I think. This is the one I was playing with earlier. So do the width of 30, height equals 30. Then go ahead and close out the anchor tag and the list tag. Shit. Do that and then close out. Shit. There we go. Yeah, so this is like a hollow orange, or this is one I was playing with earlier. Let me see if I can find what I did or if I deleted it or commented it out. It looks like I deleted it. So let me see if I can find it again. Well, I'm not going to find it again for right now. I'll do that at the end. So let's just kind of move on and then we'll focus on this. And then I'll show you what I was trying to talk about in regards to some extra stuff that might be found in your SVG files. So let's go ahead and go to technology supplies and let's look at the PNG files. So go back to noun. And so we did the SVG earlier. Now we're going to do the PNG. And show in folder. Control X to cut it. Put it in images. And rename it to, well, what did I name the other one? Noun, arrow, down, tutorial. Now this is a PNG file where that one was an SVG, so that's why I can name the exact same. So let's go back in here and we'll make some space so hopefully my images will work like autocomplete. So image source equals images and PNG, there it is. Let's close that. So eventually, there we go. You can see it's big. That's the same thing as the SVG, so we can fix that the same way. Width equals 30, height equals 30. Okay, so you can see it looks fairly similar, like except it's different colors, and that's a different one. But this is a different color than this. It looks fairly similar, but there are some differences. For one is if you zoom in really close, you can see that it's got what's his name there. I don't want that to show. And if you were going to insist on using a PNG, I think I showed you this in the other video, maybe. That's not what I want to shoot. Paint. And there may be a quicker way than doing this than what I'm doing. It's just the way I've always done it, and it works, so I just haven't tried anything different. But you have to go through all the stuff of finding it. Then, cropping it and then saving it and all of that stuff. And it should automatically update. Yeah. Looks a little bit distorted now, but that's okay. Shoot. Dang it. Okay. So the shape obviously changed because whenever I took that out, and it could be because of the resizing. It could be a variety of different things. I don't know. But that took a little bit more of a headache to get the creator of the text in there, because we don't want that text in there. So that's one way you can do it, but it's that's how you can do a PNG. It's fairly similar. But depending on the file that you use, if you have to make any kind of edits to it, you might have to open it up in any kind of editor. I use Paint. It's simple. And do some edits, which is extra steps, right? Another thing between PNG and SVG is that one is a file that the browser has to grab from the server. Okay. And if you're on any kind of a slow internet connection, like a lot of people are, that's just one more file. It's a small file. It is another file. And if there's anything you can do to save, the exertion that your browser has to do whenever you're struggling with your internet, SVGs, there is no images that it has to pull. Like SVG is literally just a bunch of random numbers and all this other syntax. There is no additional files for it has to pull. These numbers create that shape. Like if I make this minus 2009 or 29, whatever that is. Let's see what happens to this, because it's this one right here. A whole lot of nothing, so maybe that was a bad example. But I'm sure if I messed with one of these numbers too much, it would create havoc. Like I think on the SVG tutorial, I made that circle into a teardrop. I think that did something. That's kind of cool. Let me see. Oops. Was it always like that? No, it was not. So whenever I messed with that 40 or 4, whatever I did, it did something. Don't know, it created like a shadow effect or something like that. But this is different things that you can play with SVG. For me to get SVG, I go to this little Beauty of Noun project, and I let them make stuff for me. But now I want to show you the other thing of how to get rid of the text that could be there, like created by and all that stuff that you find. And don't know who that is. So let's see, which one did I use earlier? I think it was this one. So we're going to get this icon, basic download, continue, SVG. So we're going to do what we've been doing, show in the folder. Oops. Edit, desktop. Get it in the folder that I want, which is images. And I'm just going to leave the name alone. It's fine. That's not what I wanted to do. Oopsie. So let's go ahead and go back to the bookstore. And let's look at the textbook lookup. So we've been doing image source equals images, and there's this one. So I'm going to go ahead and change the width and the height. Where is that? Where did there we go. So here's that little down arrow I just created, and you can see like the owner created by, yada yada. And again, I appreciate them making it for me, but there's a couple little hacky tricks, so it just saves you a few steps on getting rid of that. So I hit do the word wrap thing. So say you want to keep it on there. Okay, my background's white. I think this is the right one. My background's white. What if I just change the fill from it was all that, which is black, just to white? Okay, so I can see, but now one of the lines are gone. It's not necessarily gone, it's just white and it blends in with the background. So for this is one way you can do it. You want to keep the credit there, so it can be found maybe by for SEO purposes, like just to give them some credit, for benefit for them. Whatever the reasons are, I can't really think of. But if you want to keep that on there, but you don't necessarily want it visible as the way it would look, then you can just make the color of the font to match the background, which in this case is white. Because if I go to my dev tools, oopsie, right click, inspect on that. Let's see if it'll take me where I want to go. I don't know if this is actually a good representation, but I think it's down there. It's just white. Yeah, I see it. I have to look really close and take off my glasses, but I can see it. It's just white text. So it's still there. It still represents them, but we just kind of put it to match the background, so you don't see it. So that's one way you can get rid of it. Another way you can get rid of it is, and again, you have to read it. You have to kind of have an understanding of what this stuff is. Like this text, opening text is talking about. First, let me go ahead and make it black again so we can see what's happening. So it's black again, and you can see the contents there. And now if I open up, look at the text. So this is all the text, and it's the attributes of the text, of the color, the styling, font, created by Shiva. So I don't know if it'll comment. Let me comment. Nope. Yep, don't want the whole thing commented. So what I might do is just break that up a little bit. This end of one line of text, and here's the beginning of a second line of text. And this, I can just comment this out, and that should work. Oh, it generates an error. Okay. And so that's because the SVG, the closing SVG tag, got caught in it. So let's get that out of there. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go. So for me, anyways, editing the SV, once you kind of figure out how to do it, is a lot easier than editing the ping. So this is a couple ways that you can utilize. And if I want to change this color, let's go ahead and say I want to change this color. Again, it's kind of doing an inspection on, is there anything that kind of indicates that it's black? I'm not seeing it. So I'm just going to do is, oh, here's style. It's already got a style tag. So I'm just going to add on to the fill orange. Let's see if I got that right. Yeah, okay, it's orange now. So this are some ways. I want you guys to create the little triangles at the end, just be as an indicative that there's a drop down whenever you click on something. That's going to be more in depth on something later. Trying to think if there's a way to do CSS with a drop down. I don't know, but just go ahead and put these triangles on there. We might have to, I know we're overlapping HTML and CSS with JavaScript. It may be overlapping JavaScript with HTML, CSS. But we're also going to be playing with grids on this as well, so I might think of something different. But this is one way you can play with it. So just add some arrows or whatever you want. It doesn't have to be arrows. I've said before, I'm not a designer. If you got some awesome ideas, you go with your awesome ideas. But just utilize SVGs. Utilize SVGs. And Canvas will be another thing. Again, not a designer, so I'm not sure what I'm doing with that. But if you already have an idea, you go for it. But that's how you can incorporate SVGs, the little triangles in there. And that's how you can edit them to suit your needs. So that's a not so quick thing on SVGs in this Hocking College Bookstore webpage. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.